All right, we got some more clips right lined up about protesters going on. It was pretty far and wide out. People chanting, get the F out, ICE, go away, we don't need you. Yeah, here's some videos coming up.
Portland! ICE out of Portland! ICE out of everywhere! ICE out of everywhere! Protests continue across the country and in Portland after 3 people are shot by federal agents this week. A woman shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on Wednesday, and then just one day later, 2 Venezuelan nationals shot by Border Patrol agents right here in Portland. This is the 10 o'clock news. I'm Ward Jollis. A lot to get to tonight, but first, hundreds gathered in downtown Portland tonight, condemning the recent actions by ICE and other federal agents in Portland and across the country. Fox 12's Abby Davis is live outside the ICE facility in South Portland where protesters are gathering tonight. Abby, what are you seeing?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people here right now. They're chanting. A little bit ago, they were dancing as they were playing some music. There are candles lining the street, and the majority of them do seem to be gathered right there in front of the entrance. I will say it is calmer tonight than it has been in recent nights, and this isn't the only place that people have been protesting. A little bit earlier tonight, a very large crowd gathered just north of here. Side by side, they're marching across the field. Songs, chants. Who protects us?
It's terrifying to go out thinking that they could kill you.
And speeches filled Terry Shrunk Plaza Saturday as hundreds of Portlanders denounced recent violence by ICE and other federal agents.
I just have to do something because it just is so heartbreaking to see what happens every day and feel like I can't do anything.
The demonstration comes 2 days after a Border Patrol agent shot 2 people in southeast Portland, a man and woman allegedly involved with a Venezuelan gang, and 3 days after an ICE officer shot and killed a U.S. woman in Minneapolis. Homeland Security says law enforcement fired their guns in self-defense after the people who were shot, quote, weaponized their cars.
I guess just sort of shock and disbelief that it just keeps happening and no one does anything.
It's just this thug atmosphere of coming in and just throwing their weight around, and there doesn't seem to be any due process or any organization around it. It just seems sort of trying to make us all afraid.
What's happening in our communities is unacceptable.
Reverend Ron Warner Jr. helped organize the event.
The flip side is that neighbors are coming together to not stand for this and to stand for a world that we want to live in. One that's rooted in our values, that's rooted in safety, that's rooted not in fear, but in love and solidarity.
As day turned to night, those who gathered lit the sky with that shared message.
Just a remembrance and to show that we care about people.
You can see some PPV officers are here now. They just rode through the street, and some of them are right behind that line of demonstrators there. I do want to say that several people told me they don't necessarily think these demonstrations will lead to any lasting policy changes in Washington, D.C. However, they say it is still important that they come out here and that they stand up for what they believe in. Reporting near the South Waterfront, Abby Davis, Fox 12 Oregon.
All right, Abby, thank you. Portland police made one arrest during protest at the ICE facility last night. Officers arrested Andrew Simmons after he allegedly pushed a bike officer. Simmons was taken to the Multnomah County Detention Center for charges of disorderly conduct and harassment. Portland police say they've made 80 arrests so far during ICE protest activity over the last few months. And there have been a number of protests going on throughout our area today. One of those was held at South Waterfront Park. Fox 12 photojournalist Andrew Eaton was there and spoke with protesters about why they felt they had to take a stand.
We're here today to remember Renee Nicole Good, who was shot and killed on Wednesday by ICE.
I'm here because we can't keep letting ICE do this. This current administration is so corrupt, and they're taking our neighbors. They're taking our community. We can't allow this to keep happening.
ICE out of Portland! ICE out of Portland! Hands off Venezuela!
We need our government here in Portland to stand up for our neighbors and everything that's happening.
I feel like ICE is not operating within their authority, abusing their power, and they're operating in a different capacity than what the White House is communicating to the public.
Money for homes and education.
they can freely express themselves. When you have a small group of small-minded people that are trying to impose their will upon the rest of us, that's by its very definition un-American.
So let's keep peacefully protesting, and we will win the fight to get ICE out of our communities.
Find your courage, stay strong, and be brave, and speak up. Speak up now, because it's not going to get easier.
Community members also protested at Legacy Emanuel Hospital today. The protesters accused the hospital of cooperating with ICE. Organizers say ICE frequently brings injured detainees to Legacy, where they allege patients are denied contact with their family and attorneys. They also claim that ICE improperly influences medical care and that staff who speak up face retaliation.
The Oregon Nurses Association has asked Legacy to sign a memorandum of understanding around immigration patient rights in the hospital, and Legacy has not responded to that. They haven't responded to any other nurse concerns, and they continue to retaliate against staff. When ICE detainees are in the hospital, they're in a very vulnerable position, and it's easy to ignore their rights, but it's absolutely essential that we stand up for patient privacy and self-determination of care for every patient.
And Legacy Health has responded to these accusations, saying in part, quote, "We are committed to providing medical care to everyone who needs it, including individuals who are in law enforcement custody and regardless of immigration or citizenship status." The health system went on to say that to date, no ICE officers have entered their facilities unless accompanied by a patient in custody.
Peacefully protesting in Moore Square. They were chanting and holding up signs that say "No more ICE" and "U.S. get out of Venezuela." They say that they are concerned about the direction in which the country is heading. Protesters gathered at Moore Square Saturday evening. Demonstrators expressed opposition to recent ICE-related shootings across the country and to the ongoing strikes in Venezuela.
I'm done with the military colonialism, the overtaking other countries, and no accountability for this authoritarian regime.
It just keeps getting worse. It seems like just worse and worse and worse.
Joanne McQuaid, an organizer with the Triangle Democratic Socialists of America, reflected on the charged mood sweeping through the nation.
This is a time when I think a lot of people are very scared about the things that are going on here and abroad. And we want to, one, sort of just show that, together we won't be defeated.
Protesters held signs with messages like "Hung for constitutional checks and balances." Caitlin from Wake says the death of 37-year-old Renee Good in Minneapolis motivated her to come.
She wasn't even convicted or guilty of anything. Even if she was, that's not what we do in America.
Others, like Suzanne Crane, joined in chanting against the U.S. intervention in Venezuela. She says the fight is personal.
And I have grandchildren. I cannot, in good conscience, not at least try to do something to change the way the world is going right now, the country is going.
Now, protesters here say they do not support former President Nicolás Maduro or his wife, former First Lady Flores. They say they just want Venezuela to govern themselves. Reporting in Raleigh, Penelope Lopez.
Here at home, thousands of people rallied after ICE agents shot and killed a Minneapolis woman on Wednesday. In Washington alone, dozens of protests happened in cities across Puget Sound. Fox 13's Shira Masuzawa takes us to one rally in Linwood.
This is what people in Linwood saw along Highway 99. A crowd holding signs of all shapes, sizes, and colors, but with one message: abolish ICE.
I'm protesting the fascist regime.
Paul Bannon is one of the organizers of Saturday's rally.
My dad fought the fascists in World War II, and it means that I get to continue doing that. I never dreamed that I would be spending my retirement fighting fascism, but here we are.
Cliff Ekman also can't believe this is how he's spending his Saturday, but he says it's important because what happened in Minneapolis was wrong.
I'm 89 years old, and I've never seen anything like this in our country. I'd like to see change. I'm not convinced that they're willing to change, but you've got to come out and at least express your opposition to what's happening in our country.
I'm really scared about the state of our country. I'm scared for the people I work with. I am a teacher and I'm scared for my students, and this isn't safe.
This woman didn't want to be identified, but as a first-generation American whose dad was undocumented from Mexico, she felt she needed to lend her voice to the efforts underway.
He is also a veteran. He served our country, and his entire family now became citizens. I've got uncles and aunts in every branch of the military, including the Secret Service. So it's partly for my family history, and again, just to show support for people that might need it.
As they held their signs, united and hoping for change, those who passed by honked in support.
You've got so many people that are of like mind and good values, and it's just beautiful to be out there with people protesting.
Shira Matsuzawa, Fox 13 News.
Protesters are hitting the streets across the country. In New York, groups gathered outside of the Immigrations and Custom Enforcement building, and in the nation's capital, hundreds gathered along Pennsylvania Avenue, just outside of the White House. The gatherings are being called an ICE Out for Good weekend of action. Hundreds of people also turned out in Portland to raise their voices after 2 Venezuelan nationals were shot by a federal officer there. The group is also reacting to the ICE shooting in Minneapolis on Wednesday. Protesters marched to the city's Immigration and Customs Enforcement building to oppose the agency's continued presence in the Rose City. Meanwhile, thousands gathered, including religious leaders and community members, at the Minnesota state capitol to honor Renee Good. The 37-year-old mother of 3 was gunned down by an ICE agent earlier this week. Fox's Leon Purvis has more.
Gathered at the state capitol in honor of 37-year-old Renee Good, religious leaders standing in unity.
Today, we demand justice for Renee Good.
Good was shot and killed Wednesday morning by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. The Department of Homeland Security says Ross acted out of self-defense and fear of his life, claiming she weaponized her vehicle. Many in the community are angry and disagree with Homeland Security's claim.
She was looking out for her neighbors when she was shot.
Like George Floyd, I think she's going to be a symbol of change.
These feelings are repeated by hundreds of people, including some who traveled from outside the metro, who gathered to share their grief and voice concern about ICE activity in Minnesota.
That shouldn't happen here. That shouldn't happen anywhere. And so her name deserves to be remembered.
She was just trying to ensure that continued of law and order, of peaceful protest.
Many in the crowd held candles, anti-ICE signs, and sang songs. Also in attendance, Governor Tim Walz, surrounded by state troopers.
Renee passed away for protecting immigrants and people who were having their lives disrupted unfairly. But I think in general, we're here as a commitment to justice and equality.
Friday, we saw more response here at home as local advocacy groups gathered in Puyallup. Dozens lined the street, armed with signs that read things like "ICE melts under resistance" and "Respect existence, expect resistance." The group hosting the rally, Indivisible Puyallup, told Fox 13 they are deeply concerned because hours after the Minneapolis woman was shot and killed by ICE agents, Pierce County Sheriff Keith Swank posted to X, writing, "PSA, if law enforcement tells you to stop, stop. You can always sue later if your rights were violated. Even if you are right, do you want to be dead right?"
And it almost sounds as though he's saying that if you do not listen to law enforcement, you will end up dead. And the last time I checked, breaking a law, trying to run away, they're not judge, jury, and executioners. So I would say, Swank, you're in the wrong line of work.
Sheriff Swank doubled down on his previous statement and posted, "No matter if you hate President Trump, no matter if you hate ICE, no matter if you hate me, do not interfere with law enforcement. Nothing good will come of it." Just feet away from the rally, a different type of gathering packed this church. This is what it looked like inside of the Save Our Sheriffs rally, where Swank and former National Security Advisor General Michael Flynn were both speakers.
Across the country, protesters taking to the streets after 2 shootings by immigration officers. Thousands of people marched across Minneapolis today, denouncing the fatal shooting of Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3, by an ICE agent. Protesters also gathering from Austin, Texas, to Durham, North Carolina, and in Portland, Oregon, after a man and woman were shot by a Border Patrol officer. That couple accused of having ties to a notorious Venezuelan gang. The Trump administration staunchly defending the actions of the ICE agent in Minneapolis, as some Democrats are now calling for the impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. ABC's Morgan Norwood leads us off from Minneapolis.
Tonight, from Philadelphia to Durham to New York and Minneapolis, demonstrators demanding justice following the deadly shooting of 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good, the mother of 3 shot and killed by an ICE agent in Minneapolis this week.
We've been telling them to get out. They're not leaving. They are not wanted here. They are not making our community safer.
New video showing the moments leading up to those fatal shots, now drawing intense scrutiny.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad for it.
Reportedly captured on the cell phone camera of ICE agent Jonathan Ross, accused of shooting and killing her. You can see his masked face in the vehicle's reflection as he circles her maroon SUV. Then another agent yelling at Good, ordering her to get out of the vehicle.
Out of the car. Get out of the car.
Agent Ross moves to the front of the SUV as it moves forward. He fires 3 shots, including 1 through the windshield. Good's vehicle then crashing into a parked car. Witnesses outraged.
Shame! Shame! What did the you guys do? You made a crime scene! You shot someone!
The Trump administration insisting the agent acted in self-defense.
I can believe that her death is a tragedy, while also recognizing that it's a tragedy of her own making.
But Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey pushing back on the government's narrative.
We've got all 2 eyes, and I can see a person that is trying to leave. I can see an ICE agent that was not run over by a car. That didn't happen.
And calling for ICE to leave the city immediately.
We have been saying that if ICE keeps behaving the way that they are, that someone is either going to get seriously injured or killed.
And tonight, the investigation itself now under a microscope, the FBI taking over the probe. Thursday, President Trump seemingly acknowledging that the agency is not sharing evidence with Minnesota state officials, who are now seeking their own investigation.
Well, normally I would, but they're crooked officials.
The lack of access extending beyond state officials. Today, Representatives Ilhan Omar, Angie Craig, and Kelly Morrison say they were denied access to an ICE facility.
What happened today is a blatant attempt to obstruct members of Congress from doing their oversight duties.
As questions mount over transparency, tensions spilling into the streets.
We do not believe that the federal agencies that are now taking hold of this investigation are going to do a good job.
Though protests have been mostly peaceful, more than 24 people detained Friday night, police say, for unlawful assembly downtown after authorities moved to disperse the crowd. Thousands more gathering today. And with tonight, some lawmakers are calling for suspension of these ICE operations, these ICE raids, others pushing to defund the agency or impeach DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Whit?
All right, Morgan Norwood.
The streets for anti-ICE demonstrations in the aftermath of a federal agent's fatal shooting of a mother of 3 in Minneapolis.
Many chanted, "Say her name, Renee Good," and they also held up signs that read, "ICE murdered Renee Good." Peaceful protests were held in Minneapolis, New York City, also Philadelphia, after the release of the hotly debated video that shows the shooting death of Renee Good. Many protesters say that ICE is creating an environment where no one feels safe.
The protest at Pershing Square in downtown LA was one of the largest today. KHLA5's Chris Wolf joins us live from downtown, where he spoke with some demonstrators. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, we certainly did. Good evening, Court and Kareen. Overall, the protest here in downtown Los Angeles was very peaceful. There were no major problems throughout the day. However, later in the evening, there were some tense moments with lingering agitators. A face-off between demonstrators and police officers capped a day of peaceful protest in downtown Los Angeles Saturday. LAPD officers formed a skirmish line and held the line near the Metropolitan Detention Center. Only a small number of protesters lingered into the night, challenging police and disrupting traffic. People were vocal but not volatile earlier in the day.
Us veterans, we are tired of watching this country go to hell in a handbasket.
Their voices and messages loud and clear. Activists and concerned citizens hit the streets of downtown Los Angeles Saturday to protest what became a volatile encounter in Minneapolis Wednesday, in which an immigration and customs enforcement agent shot and killed a 37-year-old mother, Renee Nicole Good. Cell phone footage of the shooting from various angles has emerged in the last few days. Officials with ICE and the Trump administration say Good was defiant, interfering with a federal government operation and using her car as a weapon against the ICE agent, pushing the accelerator instead of getting out of her vehicle as instructed. The opposition insists the shooting was murder, unjustified, an unforgivable act of authoritarian rule against a U.S. citizen.
Right now, the domestic terrorist is ICE. With the murder of Renee Good, that was sickening. And they try to play it off. Oh, she tried to run us over.
What happened in Minnesota was a tragedy, to say the least, and we are living in fear in this country right now. From George Floyd till now, it is hard that we're still here, that we haven't made much progress in bringing this country forward and coming together, that it's so divided and so divisive.
The LAPD says officers did make several arrests after a dispersal order was issued and people refused to leave the area. At least one demonstrator was arrested for battery on a police officer. Reporting live in downtown Los Angeles, Chris Wolf, KTLA 5 News.
A protest over the deadly ICE shooting in Minnesota turned violent in Santa Ana this morning after DHS officers moved to suppress the crowd. Protesters gathered outside a federal building in downtown Santa Ana, which houses immigration and customs enforcement field offices. And you can see one of the protesters is shot in the face with a rubber bullet, while others were dragged inside the building after the scuffle. Santa Ana police did not report any arrests following the protest.
Protesters also gathered today in Woodland Hills as part of a nationwide weekend of action calling for accountability from immigration and customs enforcement. Organizers said the rally drew residents from across the valley carrying signs and chants focusing on local concerns about immigration enforcement in the San Fernando Valley and elsewhere in the country, like in Minnesota with the situation we keep telling you about, that ICE agent shooting and killing an unarmed civilian protester.
The more the merrier. We have to show up, or all of this is going to go away. We have to show up to protect our Constitution, to protect our rights. I believe what I saw. Her wheels were turned away. Her words were calm, and he was out of control.
Organizers say the Woodland Hills protest drew dozens of people and did remain peaceful, with those demonstrators chanting and holding signs calling for ICE accountability.
I didn't like it when
Also a large group of anti-ICE activists took their protests to the streets in Eagle Rock today. Demonstrators gathered on the corner of Eagle Rock and Colorado Boulevards. They were holding signs there and also waving American flags as cars drove by.
Here we go, little bonus clip for you. This is real good stuff here. Heck yeah. Hashtag Blue Lives Murder. Hashtag ICE agents murder. Hashtag kill all ICE agents. With that said, I'm on over my show. Peace out. Peace.